Hello, I am going to call chutzpah or audacity on myself again. Um, so in Kabbalah, in Hasidus, Chabad stands for Chachma, Bina, Das, which are the three different levels of the mind. Chachma is at the infinite level where there's no keli, there's no vessels, right? So I always say we can't quite imagine the entire infinite without end. Bina is wisdom, right? So that can be you're washing the dishes and you have an idea and it comes into your head. So it's something you can conceive of, something you can think of, right? It comes down. Sometimes those thoughts are fleeting and they go away. And then Das is when the thought is actionable. So it's a contraction, right? There's the infinite and how all of these things come down into our material world. We've talked about the material before. So my body is a keli, my body is a vessel, this chair, this funny, I think it's a chipmunk or a squirrel. I had to sit on this side today. So with this idea of the mind coming down and the infinite being a part of our small self or our I, our individual soul, there are ways to use the mind in order to really clear out our neuropathways, make sense of the world and become more positive, right? So quantum physics, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about the higher activity, the higher level of energy of positive thoughts. There's 40 years worth of research on happiness. I used a lot of it in my aging research. And people are all like, hey, let's try and be happy, right? And then other folks are like, oh my gosh, do we have to be happy all the time? Absolutely not. Just higher levels of energy in order to create our best lives and to really connect to one another on a deeper level. There are a few Jewish sayings, right? There's tracht good, sein good, which is think good and it will be good. And also this idea of simcha paretz geder, that joy breaks all bounds. And I was just pointing to the alarm going off. I do live in the city. So hard for me to get out, but we'll get there. And I think that the transparency and the humility or the discomfort, I think that these emotions are interesting. I think that the pace, the vulnerability, and the transparency is interesting. I think it's interesting that I'm not cutting up the videos and editing out when I blow my nose. I think it's interesting pacing. But again, I grew up watching Mr. Rogers, so I like that pace of life. Back to it. So the idea that there's something good in everything, that there's an inner spark of light, that there is just a tiny neshama of the infinite, like that everything has its own spark that can be elevated. So being this positive person, or having trained myself to be joyously disruptive, to find the good in life, to just get into the meatiness of everything and to enjoy it, my brain is trained. So when I was watching some of the videos of the hostages, of course, first my heart was in pain. My heart was physically breaking. And again, as we've done in some of the other videos, I just allow my mind to go to the place and I feel my feelings and then I allow them to pass over me. That is also a stitch in the book, The Bucket and the Stone. I would have to find which stitch. So I allow my feels, I witness them, and then I allow them to pass over me. So there was some of that in the beginning, but then again, as someone who didn't have the emotional security, transparency, vulnerability, and care in my early upbringing, I also had yearning. And I want to address that for folks. Seeing how the family members received their children in one video in particular, received his partner. His wife came back to him, and there was such strength and vulnerability. There was no crying on his part, but how he looked down at her face and brushed the hair and checked her. Just so much love and beauty. And I personally had both pain and desire. So I want to name those things, right? The pain is that I did not have that growing up, or in my marriage. I mean, any of the things that have been delineated in my book. I did not have that. So I had a moment of grief. And then also yearning and desire. Like, as I was hearing them cry, as I was seeing folks look at one another, there was a desire there. And to allow myself to go into that place and to not deny it, to feel the feels and to allow them to pass over me. It's also a Dr. Joe thing, right? He talks about renegotiating, pathway. I need a better way to say this because I'm emotional. And again, I hope that's interesting to you. Slow videos. I'll find my words. But creating the life that you want to through your own neural pathways, through not just going to what we know, right? That's what he talks about a lot. We know this. I know how I felt in the past. I know what it felt like not to be loved in an open and emotional way, but more in a construct way, right? I am your mother. I am your father. This is your sibling. These are your friends. Everything not in this transparent, open, delicious way that I do now with my chosen family and my chosen community, where I am seen and loved, and where I see and love them, and where we laugh till we cry sometimes. Not till we cry, just till my whole face lights up, until theirs does too. But to allow myself to want something that I don't have and to see something that I don't know. So part of change is seeing something or starting to recognize something that we don't know or don't have, and to allow ourselves to desire it. And that's in these books, you know, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And, you know, I think he comes up with a mind movie, but looking at people that you admire, looking at people, I'm so allergy, that you'd like to be like, looking for mentors either in your own life or in books. I read a lot of biographies, histories, and looking for people in space, in video, on TikTok maybe, you know, on YouTube, but looking to someone that you admire and would like to be like. So for me, the inner spark, that inner beauty, out of all of the pain that we're seeing, for me the other day, while I was watching, that inner beauty was witnessing the love and witnessing the care. And as horrific as it is, what those folks went through, seeing the love and the community that they came back to brings me hope. So I wish you a hopeful day. I wish you seeing the things that you'd like to become, finding the little sparks in the world that you can mirror and desire and strive for. I wish you striving, growth, and beauty in who you are right now in the present tense.